Hello and welcome to this second video for our course Spip tutorial. With me, your host Willie Liambi from programmage.com for all your domain name registration, hosting and other IT software development, website development needs. Head over to programmage.com. Best! Okay, now that the advertisement is out of the way, let's continue with our second video of this tutorial I'm creating for the Spip content management system. So in the previous video we had a brief introduction about Spip. We saw what Spip was, and we are going to continue right now with the introduction. So Spip is a web content management system. It was developed in 2001 by the Collective Omni Réseau. It advocated for internet free of censorship. We all saw that in the first video. It is a content management system, pretty much like WordPress, Drupal, Typo3, Joomla, and others. So there is a bunch of content management systems out there. This tutorial just happened to be about Spip. I'm not gonna get into the whole which one's better or not. It depends on the goal you are trying to achieve, right? So yeah, let's keep going. Now, speaking of which one is the best, let's look together what are the advantages and some of the disadvantages of using Spip, okay? Some of the advantages include, at least from this trainer's point of view, Spip is easy to install and it works fresh out of the box, alright? Spip is also flexible. It allows you to customize your website with its templating system called Skeleton. It's a French word that would translate in English as skeleton, but it wouldn't make much sense, so let's just call it templates, okay? It's basically templates that you can write directly within your HTML code, some Spip code that will directly link your templates to the database and the Spip core, all right? One of the disadvantages is that Spip has a much smaller support community than other major CMSs such as WordPress. I, for one, knows almost everybody who is actively involved in the Spip community. We have mailing lists and such, and but the support for the content management system is pretty small. It is growing. Well, hopefully it will be bigger because it is actively developed. Really, Spip is not something that is dormant. There is a core group of developers that work on it, that release versions every 3 months, 4 months or so. And the disadvantage, another disadvantage is that the templating syntax, it is a Spip created syntax, so you're gonna have to learn it if you want to integrate Spip code within your HTML templates or other templates like that. So use it for this course, and what you will need, of course, it's not a lot. First of all, you gotta have a computer, some internet connection probably. Otherwise, you wouldn't be watching this video, let's be honest. And you also need some knowledge in HTML and CSS, a bit of command line interface just for environment configuration, as we will see in the next chapters. Environment setup, for me, I will use a Linux server or an Ubuntu machine on localhost, and the Apache web server alongside with PHP 7.4 and MySQL database. Don't get me started on the PHP 7.4. We need to move to PHP 8. PHP 8 is more like of an enterprise upgrade. It's not really, there's not much changes, but of course, if you can use PHP 8, please do, by all means. The course objective, by the end of this course, I want you to be able to download and install Spip. That's the basics, okay? Because as I told you, Spip works pretty much out of the box, so you don't have much to do. Once you have the environment set up, you download it, you install it, it's already there. You can already start publishing, okay? And you should be able to create a simple website using HTML, CSS, and a Spip templating system called Skeleton, as we saw earlier. The installation. let's get to it. Let's dive right in, right? First, we need a web server. And for this course, we will use Apache. To install Apache on your computer, for me it is Linux. You gotta open a terminal and write the command sudo apt-get update, just to update your system. And then you will install Apache 2. That's pretty straightforward. The command is right there, sudo apt-get install Apache 2. For Windows, I won't get you started into terminal installation. There's a tool called MAMP, MySQL Apache, and MySQL Apache PHP, I think. And you can just head over to https://mamp.info and download and install the latest version of MAMP. This will include the whole package for you, MySQL, Apache, and PHP. So you don't need to go through the command line thing. You know, some IT guys like myself, we really like the command line. It makes us feel good about ourselves. Yeah, that's just an anecdote like that. So MySQL and PHP installation, obviously you're gonna need an environment that features MySQL and PHP. So to install MySQL, you're just gonna have to write this command sudo apt-get install MySQL server, and then you're gonna run sudo systemctl start mysql.service. This will allow MySQL to start whenever you boot your machine, right? And this is of course on Ubuntu Linux, but it also probably works for Mac. And for full configuration of a MySQL server, I will link down in the description an article, a tutorial from DigitalOcean. This is a hosting company of the sort that shows you how to install MySQL on Ubuntu 20.04. The link is in the description, of course. So installing PHP, to install PHP on Ubuntu Linux and probably Mac, just open a terminal, type sudo, you don't have to type sudo all the time if you just authenticate one, apt-get install php lib apache 2-mod.php. This command right here, the first one, will install Apache. Now will install PHP with the necessary module for it to run on with Apache. And you can add some additional modules such as CGI, but you also need to install PHP MySQL if you're gonna have to link the PHP and MySQL. So these are three commands right there: apt-get install php lib apache 2-mod php, apt-get install php CGI, apt-get install php-mysql. Easy, it's right there on the screen. You just have to type the command as they are. To enable PHP for Apache 2, you might also have to run sudo a2nmod php, but this last command, the last one, a2nmod enable mode, that's the command that Apache used to enable certain module, extra module on Apache. If you have a particular version of PHP, you might need to add PHP 8.0 if you are using 8.0, 8.1, to get so that Apache can know which module really you need to enable. Let's move on. So now that our environment is set up, I'm just gonna assume this is not a course on how to set up a LAMP, Linux, Apache, MySQL, PHP course. So that's why I'm not getting into the details, my brothers. I don't get into the details. I just did the few minutes ago was just about showing you the importance of having your environment configured, okay? Now that is that out of the way, another thing is you might need to install phpMyAdmin. That will help you manage your MySQL database easily from a web interface. Okay, let's move on. Now, let's get into the topic. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and assume that our environment with Apache, MySQL, and PHP is well configured right now. Now, what we need is to move on and install Spip, okay? So, how do you install Spip? First of all, you're gonna need to go to spip.net, okay? Let's just go head over to spip.net. Here I am on spip.net, okay? And I'm gonna go ahead and download the latest version of Spip right here. just clicking this download link, and yeah, downloading Spip. The current version is 4.3.2. Of course, if you are watching this video at later than 20th of August 2024, you might have a slightly different version. So I take the version 4.3.2, I download it. It should be downloading right over here. There it is. Alrighty, now our download is over. As you can see right here in my downloads folder, I got a Spip version 4.3.2. I'm just gonna go ahead and cut this folder and move it to the folder where I keep my website files. I've created a folder called Spip, and here it is. So there it is. Open the archive manager, and I'm gonna go ahead and extract all of these files into my folder right here. I extract them right in the folder that is linked to my Apache web server, and voila, all the files have been extracted. I'm gonna go ahead and delete the zip archive as I don't longer need this anymore. So this is basically all the files there is to Spip, right? And there's the config file, there's another config folder which contains configuration information such as MySQL connection information and stuff. Écrire is the administration backend, image where all the images are stored, local where all the temporary local images, smiles and thumbnails are stored. Plugin dist is the folder where Spip stores plugin. Privé is another folder, system folder. Skelet dist is the default template. P is the temporary folder where Spip stores all the temporary folders and files. Vendor is vendor. Changelog, composer, composer.log. htaccess.txt, index.php. We'll have time to look through all these files, the most important ones at least. Plugins, this, readme, security, spip.php, and some two tiny logos right here. Now that Spip is loaded onto our local machine, we are going to try to access it from a browser. And the way to do that is to go to localhost Alright, so the first time we try to access this URL here, localhost/spip, where we have installed our directory, our site over there. Remember, this is where Apache we've configured our website to live. It's on our local computer. So the first time we try to access, it will tell us that the site is not yet set up and we should come back later, which is completely normal and understandable. So what you need to do in order to install Spip is to browse under the folder called Écrire. It's in French. Écrire means write. That's like kind of like the administrative area. So I'm just gonna go ahead and add Écrire right there. And now I am being asked to install Spip, this beautiful pink screen that the Spip team came up with. And so I'm gonna select the language to be English and go ahead and next. And for the database, it's gonna be MySQL, the database address, localhost. Here you're gonna have to input your, depending on which database system you use. It can be MySQL, SQLite. For me it is MySQL, so the database address is localhost. And the database user, I choose not to reveal this information. So I'm just gonna go ahead and log in. right. Okay, now that I have successfully inputted my login information, I'm being asked to select a database. I'm just gonna go ahead and create a new database. I'm gonna call it Spip, and the prefix for the tables, it can remain as, you can leave this as Spip, it doesn't matter. So I click next. These are all a list of databases that I already had on my system, so that is why you see them listed over here. Okay, now my database structure has been successfully installed. If everything went on correctly, you're gonna have to select an identity. I'm gonna go ahead and add admin at programmer.com. My login, I use admin. The password, let me just say this is password. Of course, you should use a strong password over here, because if you use a weak password, your website will be very vulnerable. Click password. It is installing, it is installing, it is installing. And voila, Spip has been installed. See, done, Spip is ready to use. This is all a list of default plugin that it has installed. And when I go to the back office, I am automatically logged into the Spip back office. Alright, so there is a bunch of welcome and tutorial stuff that come up here when you are new to Spip. It says welcome admin, you have entered Spip private area back office. This Spip page shows the latest editorial activities. This is like the companion that will teach you all there is about Spip. Configure your site. One of the first things you need to do, give a name to your site, publish, then you can start publishing articles. And this is pretty much how you configure and install Spip. So in the next video, we're gonna go through all the back office options you have here that will help you in managing your website. We are not going to dive in directly into the templating and coding. We're first gonna learn about the Spip back office, and when we are familiar with the back office, then we can come back later and start doing some coding, which I can't wait to be there. So thank you for following this installation tutorial on how to install and configure Spip. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye for now.